All right, and we're live.
Yay!
So, Cassie, I'm going to let you start. So,
Okay.
tell us a little bit about WCS for general overview. What is it? Why?
Okay. What is WCS? Okay, so first thing I'm going to say is my name is Cassandra May. I go by Breathless Air. I am part of the U.S. national staff. I was also Team USA 2013 with my best friend Tiffany, who is co-organizer of World Cosplay Summit U.S. national staff and World Cosplay Summit. The definition of World Cosplay Summit is a event that's hosted by a Japanese TV station, TV Aichi. It is there to promote international exchange, the Japanese youth culture of manga, anime, Japanese video games. It began in 2004, which was originally done as invitation only, and it started off more like a meet and greet between 4 countries, and since then it has been growing. This year it is up to 24 competing countries with 2 or 3 observation. What that means is 24 countries will have a pair of 2 participants who will compete at the finals with everybody else, and then the participating teams are the participating ones are ones who are there for the next year. So this year they will be pretty much practicing with 2 delegates, and then next year that country will actually be competing. So that's what Hong Kong did with our year, and then this year they actually competed.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the event itself is ultimately it's the chance to represent the United States against all the other countries and meet people from around the world.
Awesome.
Woo! Fun. Yeah.
So the next WCS qualifier we have is actually the Southeast qualifier, and that's at FandomCon in Fort Walton Beach, right?
Yes, the next one will be at FandomCon. I believe that one is in November.
Okay.
That one, I'm not going to be the one that's there to assist with it. Mario Bueno will be assisting with that one, so if you have questions, please contact him. But ultimately, we do have a large staff that will be able to answer questions. You'll be entering as a 2-person team with a skit and also your craftsmanship, and ultimately pick something that you love and have fun with it.
Okay, great.
Simple.
Well, I'd like to introduce ourselves, actually.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Christine. I go by Kaplaka on the internet.
And my name is Kevin. I go by Kobaran. And we'll actually be judging at this year's WCS qualifier at FandomCon on the weekend of November 7th. So.
Yay!
So what we're doing in this stream is we're trying to answer any questions that WCS potential competitors might have. If you're interested in going to WCS, trying out for it, and trying to win a prize or go to Japan and represent the U.S., we want to encourage you, try and alleviate any concerns or fears that you might have. So maybe just offer our perspective on how things go.
Yeah. It's a lot of information, and I'm more than happy to answer as much as I can. It is a learning experience, so I can say that I've done it 4 times, and each year I've learned something different from it. And it has been an amazing experience, and I have met so many people, so do never get discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, just try.
Awesome.
You can do.
And you actually, you mentioned you went to Japan for WCS. Was it last year?
Went in 2013.
2013. Okay, so yeah, awesome. And
Yay.
how is it going through the process here in the U.S.?
Honestly, the U.S. portion of World Cosplay Summit is slightly different than that of Japan. Once you reach Japan, it is about making friendships with the other countries, and it's not so much about winning. In the U.S., because it is a heavy competition to try and be that representative, it does make it a little bit more stressful, and that's why I always emphasize just have fun. It is a learning experience, and you will just make some of the most amazing friends through it. And it's like and I've done it now. Well, I did it 4 times. First time we just did it because we wanted to do it. We went to New York Anime Festival. We did Oh My Goddess, and we were like, we're going to use Isis wings. And we just had fun. We messed up so badly, but we had so much fun. And then the next time we tried, we actually skipped a year after that. And the next time we tried, we did X, and that one we emphasized more on our craftsmanship versus our performance, so we learned from that one. That was held at AM Squared in California. After that, we did Morgan and Belle Dandy, where I was dressed as a skin-tight black and white fairy from Firefly from Hell, quoting Hook. And that one was a learning experience because we did, once again, have a few mistakes, but we just kept with focusing more on craftsmanship and performance and altering it. And then the last time we went for Alice and Vivaldi from Alice in the Country of Hearts, and that one we chose because we both love Alice in Wonderland. We're Disney girls. And we just had a lot of fun with that one. We always went to the competition never assuming we were going to win or gain anything from it. So honestly, we never had our hopes up, which isn't best thing to say, but it kind of helped because when we did win, we were shocked. Honestly shocked.
So I think maybe we can talk a little bit about our qualifications as judges. Like maybe what are your strengths and skills and specialties? So I took a couple classes in sewing in my college for my undergraduate, so I know how to pattern draft, and I've learned how to make armor from Kevin. He is very, very good at armor. So I learned most of what I know about armor making from him. I do make props as well. So that's why I'm a judge. And what about you?
I started off making Goodwill costumes, going to Goodwill and buying costumes. And one day I was just like, I'm never going to find this design to Goodwill, and I just dove headfirst into sewing. And I've been doing it ever since, and make my own props and sew my own costumes, do my own patterning and everything. So we met each other I think 4 years ago, and we always joke that one day we're going to compete against each other and see who wins.
What about you, Cassie?
Yeah.
Why are you so cool?
What?
Why are you so cool?
Honestly, I have been doing dress up since I was very young. My mother made costumes for me. I went to a local, not convention, but a local festival called Fairy Festival up in Pennsylvania, so it was an hour from me. I went every year since it first started, so I've attended since I was like 3 years old. And I got to dress up as a little flower fairy. I was cute, innocent, and blonde. And yeah, that happened a long time ago. And I just always liked dressing up. I went to my first convention in 2005, which was Otakon. And I went with a few of my friends from the anime club, and I saw people cosplaying, and I wanted to do it. So the next year, I dressed up as Haruna Sakura from Naruto. And then the downfall began. I'm completely self-taught. I never went to classes or did anything like that. I mainly actually alter patterns or look up tutorials online. You two just drank at the same time.
Isn't that creepy?
When you date somebody long enough, you start to do everything at the same time.
Oh, you two.
Twins in a horror movie, but
yeah, it's like The Shining.
I feel like we're starting to kind of look
The Shining
too.
So, a lot of people get kind of nervous when you talk about judging their craftsmanship or judging their work on a costume or their performance. So, I kind of want to go over, our personal perspectives on judging, what we look for in a costume.
Mario's here!
Hey, Mario.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
Hey!
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
Yes, we can.
you're a little bit low. Can you get closer to the mic?
Yeah, about that.
It's a bueno.
I'm basically juggling keeping my Surface on the table along with my dinner.
Yeah, we're right there, buddy.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
broadcast started when I was mid-mine, so I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm-
sounds great,
Yeah, I'm
everybody.
still on.
You want to say
No,
hi to
I'm
Christine and
basically
Mario?
joining you guys with audio only because, yeah, pretty much it's just a hot mess over here. Hi, Tiff.
Hi.
Hey, Tim.
So, yeah.
Okay, so WCS judges not only craftsmanship, but performance. So I think it's a pretty balanced thing, right? Tiff, Cass?
Nowadays, it is a very balanced system. We do weigh your craftsmanship and your performance on the same level. It's not something where if you have the most elaborate skit and not very good at costume, you're going to be automatically chosen. We want to compromise between both craftsmanship and performance.
And you also keep in mind too that in finals, last year is the first year we actually implemented a interview process, which I'm sure you probably heard some like unhappy ramblings and some happy ramblings about it. But basically, it just kind of became this important thing because we had, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but we've had previous teams that have caused actually issues in Japan, and we just haven't publicized these things. So in order to prevent issues in the future, and going forward, we now have this interview process. It's basically, it's a series of questions, things that we hear from our qualifier judges throughout the year, things that we've heard. You know, if you guys see something weird, like, I mean, honestly, if you see somebody complaining about how awful WCS is and you just watch them stand in front of you and be like, hi guys, my name's so-and-so, look at my costume, it's awesome, you know, we're going to ask them about that in their interview, and they're not going to, like, being asked that question, and that's where a lot of that came from last year. So just so you guys are kind of cued into that, it was all things like that. You know, people that were actually caught, one of them even on video pitching a temper tantrum, and
Oh, gosh.
we nicely asked them. We were just, you know, we weren't like, you did this horrible thing, you bad person. You know, in the interviews, we were just like, you know, hey, we had several reports of, you know, something like this happening. We just want to hear from your side of the story. You know, what happened? Were you having a bad moment? Like, you know, what was that kind of thing? So just so you guys know, it's not on a qualifier level that you'll be dealing with that, but just when you see that kind of fun stuff through finals, that's always a fun thing.
Yay. You will kind of be dealing with it on the qualifier level because for a judge's sheet, you will have a notation section on there for professionalism, which is how they hold themselves.
Okay.
But you won't have to deal with the interviews. That's ultimately how they hold themselves in front of you.
Okay.
I mean, the team stuff nowadays, like in the beginning of WCS, it was more of like a fun free-for-all when you got to Japan. Now it's definitely more of a job. You're like, they work you to death, man. Like, we would like get up in the morning and Japan's like, no time for you, costume, and we're like, no costume, I'm so tired, I'm gonna die. So, you know, it's really important that we keep that within our teams too. So that's why there's kind of, we brought up, you know, we've tried to keep that level of fun, and then we've been bringing up that professionalism side on that other docket. So, I mean, and that includes if these people, you know, are friends with you on Facebook, or you've seen, you know, weird stuff go down, it's very important that you kind of notate that in your judges' sheets, as that's all a professionalism issue. Here's one specifically that happened last year. I won't name who it was, but, like, for example, there was a person that went to the internet and was like, dear internet, do you think that this is appropriate for my WCS costume? Instead of going, dear WCS staff, I know that you guys, you know, have the rules and stuff, and I should be coordinating with you, but instead, you know, let me know what you guys think on the rules. Instead, they legitimately were weighing very heavily what the internet had to say. And it's things like that where it's like, do you want somebody like that representing you? Because then what happens when you get over to Japan, kind of thing, and it's, you know, 5 inches from the sun and you're dying. Like, remember that when you're judging.
Yes.
Can this person handle being 5 inches from the sun and being very irritated and having Japanese mayors hit them
With a fan?
and still keep their cool and be okay? Like, that's what we need. And that's a real thing that happened. It happened to me.
She got hit by the mayor.
Oh wow.
I almost decked him in Sailor Moon. That almost happened.
You can see that. Best promo.
To elaborate upon this briefly, I actually spoke about this while the deliberations were going on at finals because it really is a very important thing for WCS, especially now. I basically was there in ancillary capacity last year doing the karaoke side, which only just started the year that Tiff and Cass went out there. And let me tell you, I was only there for 4 days, and watching what they had to go through, it tired me. And I was just there to go and sing a little bit, but even on that end, the schedule was still very rigorous, but nothing compared to what the actual representatives have to go through. And I stressed this when I was speaking at finals, and I've been stressing this a lot with everybody I talk to. You really are a diplomat when you go out there. It sounds really silly to say that talking about cosplay, but realistically, you look at how many nations are being represented in the contest these days, and you pretty much are the face of American cosplay when you're out there, because these people are going to go back, they're going to tell stories of, like, for example, with us, I know that Tiff and Cass loved the Italians. Let's face it, everybody loved the Italians because they were hilarious. I adored the Australian representatives on every end. They were all phenomenal. They're some of my favorite people now. And the fact that I'm even having this kind of conversation just kind of tells you the long-lasting impact that these interactions will have. You're going out there not just making friends, you're also going to be the benchmark for what people expect from America. Because imagine, if someone had a hissy fit, it's like, oh man, those Americans, a bunch of prima donna, film the word here, since we're keeping PG. But you don't want to have that kind of reputation go back to these countries, because the next opportunity they're probably going to get to change that opinion is 365 days later. That is a long time in internet time. So these are to be very
also
when you're going out there, how you conduct yourself.
So it's pretty much the Olympics of cosplay.
Exactly. Like, I know it's really ridiculous, but that's really what it feels like when you're out there, and you feel that responsibility too. So it's part of why we did implement the interview process. I'm glad we implemented the interview process as a result, because it makes me feel more confident that the people that we're sending out there are going to properly represent the entire nation and not just themselves.
Now, what you won't see in your guys' judging sheet things, I don't know if Cassie sent this to you or not.
Right.
But when she sends it to you, you'll see on the qualifier level, your professionalism isn't. It's like a small percentage of your scoring that you're going to score out. It becomes more important in finals if you guys end up ever being a finals judge, or just rest assured that when it gets to finals and you guys are lifting that person up to that next level, it weights as equally as craftsmanship and performance, their professionalism on their score. And it rocked a couple of teams this last go around. Unfortunately, I wish it didn't, but it did.
It
did. So just kind of keep that in mind. Is exactly like Mario's saying. We just don't want. We worked. All of the teams that have been going over there here very recently, have been working very, very hard to fix past mistakes. I mean, Cassie and I, we don't publicize this a lot, but we literally were taken through the ringer the first 3 or 4 days and we kept hearing from Japan side, oh, well, Americans this because they did this in 2000 whatever, or they did this, and like, they're not even kidding. It's like Mulan, honor and dishonor to your cow. Yep. Like, and that's it. Like,
yep. We were real mad at our cows that year.
we did. We honored a lot of cows, but
so,
it's very. No, it's fine.
But we do have these rigorous standards, and it is a lot of work. But I want to focus more on why people should participate, why they should go out for WCS, and why it's such a great thing.
Well, I would say.
I'll let you guys pick first.
Well, aside from getting the wonderful opportunity of being 5 inches from the sun and stuffing your face with frozen ice all the time,
Yes.
I would definitely say, like, I know it sounds all cliche, but it's totally true. Like, Cassie and I still talk to people that went in 2013 on a religious basis.
Yeah.
They, it's one of those kind of like camp experiences, but not really like in the forest type deal. Like, you go off to camp and you meet all these awesome people, and you walk away with like some really amazing like contactual people that you're just like, wow, before you were just a face on the internet and now you're a real person to me. And we can talk about, oh my gosh, we talked to Brazil for at least 3 hours about Sailor Moon. And they were like 3-time world champions, like, and reminded everybody 100 times. But like they were amazing, and the fact that you get that on top of all of those people now support you. I can't even tell you, like, every birthday, I know when it's my birthday around the world because I start getting happy birthday messages like around the world. Like, so it's kind of
awesome.
That would probably be my number one, like, that's what you should be doing this 100% for, and that is incredible. At least to me, it's incredible to be able to have those friends and those people, and they're not just fair weather friends. No, you're not going to befriend all, 47 people that are going to be your soulmates for life. But, if you can walk away with like 5 or even 10 that are like really talking to you all the time and all this kind of stuff like that, I mean, hey, that's 5 to 10 people that you didn't have as really great friends before, and they kind of provide this really interesting, perspective on cosplay. I mean, shoot, when all the Frozen stuff was going on, one of the girls was obsessed with Elsa, and in Spain, and she actually just sent, because one of the other girls wanted to do Elsa and couldn't find the snowflake shoes for her hair, sent it to her in France.
So
Wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of really good. We get gummy bears every year from Germany, and it's really cool. Like you get that like cultural like bonding kind of thing.
Yep. And then also you're having the chance to represent the U.S., so it's an honor in that respect as well. But ultimately, you're going there to make friends.
It was crazy too. We'd walk into stores and like we'd be wearing like our Team USA page shirts, and people would be like, "Oh, America!" Like, and like they just come up and they'd want your card, and it was crazy. The awesome little Japanese people were
adorable.
There were a couple I wanted to put in my pocket and bring home.
I miss them so much.
Question now is what we're doing at FandomCon. So, what is a regional qualifier, and what makes it different from a regular contest?
Okay.
You guys want to take it, or should I?
You go ahead for that,
Mario. So I guess the best way to summarize the regional qualifier, think of it as kind of the warm-up match. When you go to finals, you're obviously going to be competing against, while still a very select group of people, a group of people who essentially all have what it takes to go to Japan. With the regional qualifiers, you're kind of saying, hey guys, here I am, I'm here, I'm a contender, I got what it takes to go the distance. So it's essentially a much lower pressure way to get involved with WCS. And it's also kind of a nice training ground if you've never done WCS style competition before. Because back when I was competing, it literally was just one shot. Like, you only had the one event, and it was make or break. At least here, you get to feel out what the competition format is like, and it's kind of a microcosm of what you're going to experience, not just at the finals, but ultimately in Japan, because we're basically training you like for what you're going to expect at each level.
Right, and not to mention, it kind of makes it easier because, I kind of touched on a really good point, back in the day, I feel like I'm 100 years old here, wherever that's where you went, and, the year they were in California, Cassie and I dropped probably about $5,000 to fly to California, to compete and lose.
Yep.
And you know that was you know, at least we had the consolation prize that we were basically in Disneyland. But I mean, if it's not at an awesome location like that, you know, it kind of stunk, and you didn't have that whole bonding experience that also goes on. So at least with the regional, you're getting to meet, you know, your competition. You're getting that, you know, everything Mario's saying. You know, you're getting a warm up basically. You're also getting help getting to finals, so you don't have to shoulder that burden on your own. So a lot of these people that usually enter at these regionals are closer to that regional than they would be to the finals location. So it kind of helps out there, and that's a big plus coming from somebody's that would drop a ridiculous amount of money to cross country in order to compete.
Yeah.
I pretty much gave up after it stopped being in New York because I was like, yeah, I don't feel like dropping that much money to go and get beat up again. I'm just gonna stay over here. Okay, thanks. But yeah, major props to Tiff and Cass for being super hardcore.
How about some tips for costume selection? Like, can I enter my OC original character in WCS? Because it's accurate. I didn't finish it, but it's supposed to look like this.
Okay.
You want to take this one?
Yeah.
I see it in her eyes. She wants to take that one.
Without any bad words. Go.
Oh, now it's a challenge.
No, you are not able to do any original characters. The only things you can do are from video games, anime, manga. With video games, they have to be from the Japanese origin. So you can't do anything from like the Korean, like Magna Carta.
Basically, don't bring dishonor to Japan. If it's not Japanese, don't be trying to take it to Japan. That's basically what it is.
So your John Halo costume is definitely not going to fly here.
What about my Japanese manga Star Wars Jedi costume?
I would
girl, let me tell you about the Star Wars.
But I would be behind that.
Yes.
But I would avoid that for the competition.
Find a new WCS partner.
Well, you also want to pick things that you love and things that are going to translate really well. I think one of the from doing this so many years and being on the judging side of the table, one of the biggest tips that I would give people is pick a costume that of course you can embellish and make elaborate and beautiful, but ultimately if it's not a costume in a skit that translates well, don't bother. If you're doing like, you know, some weird obscure like left field Japanese anime that maybe 3 whole people have ever seen other than Japan, you know, and you're bringing it and you're not in your performance teaching everybody what that is basically, then don't. But
yeah, if you're not able to create a story that somebody that has never seen the anime, manga, whatever, the source material will be able to understand. Also, if there is like audio or if it's just based on a song.
Basically,
track.
we're saying take a page from our book and don't make giant bird costumes with like, you know, blue feathers on your arms and not be able to move, and therefore you can't tell a story on the stage because that's not going to help you out.
No.
It's an elaborate costume. It might be pretty, but it's not practical.
You can't move.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Going in the exact opposite direction. You can't really do a very dialogue-heavy sketch either. Both of my attempts were very dialogue-heavy, and while they would have won in any conventional American masquerade, for WCS it just does not fly. It doesn't matter that I was going to do translations later. The judges don't know that, so don't presume that they will. That was my shortcoming, and I definitely want to elaborate that to future competitors. You need to find a good balance between a good narrative and a good flashy performance. Like, there's just no way around it, because at the end of the day, when you're in Japan, you're not going to get one of those fancy subtitles that you see at the opera. You are literally just going to be up there with whatever you have on you on that.
Oh, Mario, but you get subtitles. It may say Americans are big cows and we like them, ha ha ha, but hey, you know, you got subtitles.
So I like to think that a perfect skit would be something like the first 5 minutes of Up, where there's no dialogue at all, but you know exactly what's happening. It's very emotional. It connects with people, but you don't need to translate it because it's so universally understood.
Yeah,
Actually, that pretty much hits it right on the head.
Well, and I recommend not, like, so we were lucky and we had people not of this country. I have family that's not of this country, and stuff, and so we were able to practice skits and things and show them things without telling them what it is to see if they understood what we were going for. So, you know, I would recommend for anybody that's maybe doing this for the first time that maybe they, you know, try little bits and pieces of their skit for friends and family that maybe don't really know anything about anime or cosplay, and that'll really help them kind of translate over into a skit that is something that would make sense universally, because, you know, there were countries, Russia, when we were there, that didn't speak hardly any English and most certainly didn't speak Japanese, but they understood our skit.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very appreciative of that. Their translator told us, but you know, it's just that kind of stuff. If you kind of play that into your skit, the judges will see that, because even, I mean, you guys will know this. You guys have judged a million times. When you're sitting there and you're watching something that you're like, what did I just watch? What even was that? You know, or
Yeah.
it could be a series or a game that you've never seen or played before, but if it made sense on, you know, in the performance, it doesn't matter. Like, it made sense and you understood and it translated over to you, and that's probably the singular most important part of this entire competition.
Yep.
So what are time limits on the skits? How long can they be? Can they be like 20 minutes long, or are we looking at something short and sweet?
We wouldn't torture you. That's horrible.
No. Oh, goodness, no.
Hold on, Cassie's pulling up the exact
time. It's 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay.
Um,
I've heard of some Asian costume contests where the cosplay skits are like half an hour.
Those are like exhibition only. That's not for World Cosplay Summit.
And what I've noticed too is a lot of the teams that do really well in Japan, their skits tend to be on the shorter end of that. So right around that 2 minute mark tends to be perfect. If you're just getting to the point of your skit at the 2 minute mark, you took too long. Do it again.
And you definitely want to have something in a skit. Just like a good movie, you want a good beginning, middle, and an end.
Yeah, we see a lot of very good beginnings and then really loose middles and a great end, or a okay middle and we don't even know when it ended kind of thing going on. So it's really important.
Okay.
Yep.
What about as far as awards? Are there a lot of awards, like Best Masters, Best Journeyman, whatever? Or is it just, you know, you won the WCS Regional and you're going to the finals and everyone else can go on?
So there is a first place and second place team, and for internal purposes, you're ranked, like for internal staff purposes, but we only announced the first and second places. We had some issues in the past with people being like, well, I was sixth, and you know, all this kind of mess. It's a big mess. So the first place team gets their travel and their hotel and their badge to finals taken care of. The second place team gets a guaranteed spot at finals, because you can't, whereas before you used to just be able to show up at finals and be like, I'm here and I'm competing, you no longer get to do that. So you have to kind of bid for these spaces that are open, you know, for a spot for, you know, to be able to perform at finals. So the second place team gets free badges at the convention, but they're kind of on their own for airfare and hotel out there, but they have a locked spot in finals. So that's kind of everybody from that point on, you know, everybody else, yeah, it is kind of like a nice try, go home. But one thing that we did implement last year was that every team is able to submit a request and receive feedback directly from WCS national staff. And what happens is whoever is the staff member that's at the convention with the judges, they will instruct the judges to, you know, write notes, write pointers, you know, constructive and, you know, good, negative, everything, good, bad, and ugly, put it on the sheet, and we compile it into a kind of a PC, nicer way. So somebody said, you know, you done effed up, like, we're gonna make sure that that's nice, and you know, we send it out to the team so that way they get a takeaway that they can, you know, if they don't want to do WCS again, hey, maybe they like doing skits and they're going to be able to use that feedback, you know, going forward. Or if this is something they want to do again, then they can take that and really apply it to them. Whereas in the past, it was kind of left to whatever the judges kind of sort of felt like at that moment, and then if you were good friends with them, you could ask them about it, and maybe they would tell you right. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I judge something, if somebody's asking me about it 2 weeks later, it's not going to be the exact same story as it was the moment that, you know, it happened.
It happens.
So.
Yeah, and actually, that's one critical difference between the contemporary WCS system that we have and just a standard masquerade. Standard masquerade, unless you happen to know somebody, you're not going to get your feedback, so you're not really going to learn from that. You're just going to have to, you know, kind of hope for the best and just go on conjecture. At least here, we are presenting every single opportunity, not just to answer, you know, the nagging questions in the back of your mind, but also to help you grow as a cosplayer and really identify what you need to strengthen, what are your strengths that you don't already know. So it's a lot more open than conventional masquerade. So it's definitely a great tool to kind of gauge where you are if you're really into the competitive side of cosplay.
Yeah. And we want it so that way when you receive the notes from the judges that you're able to learn from them and just to make yourself better and to understand what you did correct and what you could improve on.
Okay. So what exactly are we going to be judging on? Is it just, you know, one person's like, oh, well, I'm really into clean seams, but another person says, well, the fit of the costume is most important to me, or I only really care about the performance. So how are the contestants being weighed?
Okay, so what's going to happen is the judges have the judges sheet that has 5 sections on it. Craftsmanship, fidelity, professionalism, performance, and stage impact. Craftsmanship, of course, is going to be how the costume is made. This, because we have so many judges, there is a lot of different observations and opinions on it, but that's why we have so many judges to kind of balance it out, so it's not just one person being like, I don't do armor, so I'm not going to judge your armor highly, while somebody has more of a craftsmanship base. So we try finding balances between the different judges so that way you can understand all different fields and appreciate it. Craftsmanship is, when we are looking at craftsmanship, we're looking for how the costume is made, and if you do not have all the experience or have the degree for it, how you actually finished the costume and why you finished it that way. So ultimately, easiest way is just line it and just make it as clean as you possibly can. Professionals aren't really allowed in it, so just do what you think is best, and if it is the best that you can do, be proud of it. That's it. I know I started off, and first year I did it, I tried French seaming something, and it ended up fraying in a bunch of spots, and I learned from that mistake. Yeah, that was not a fun one. It's funny, my first costume for World Cosplay Summit was Skuld from Oh My Goddess, and then I took Skuld with me to Japan in 2013. I remade it. The first time I made her, it took me about 2 weeks to make. The second time I made it took about 8 hours. So I grew over a 5-year time period. So it's something that you're going to learn from. But ultimately, craftsmanship is just how the overall costume is made, and just do the best that you can. Next field is going to be fidelity. This is how you hold yourself as the character and how you translate it from the reference image to real life. For this one, I can say personally that Tiffany and myself, last year we did Alice and Queen of Hearts. Originally we were supposed to do opposite, and I wanted to do the Queen and she wanted to do Alice. We switched characters because it looked better next to each other, and we had to alternate how we held ourselves as the character and how we looked. So that was just on how we translated it from the reference to real life. This is not going to apply to everybody, but it is something that we look into. Professionalism is another category. This one is how you hold yourself in front of the judges. And just be a good person, no cursing. We're trying to make this a PG-13 event at the most. Hopefully just PG, because it's going to be an international event. And just be yourself, kind of like a job, because you are this is almost like an interview to be a representative of the U.S.
Or reuse skits. What is the official WCS perspective on reusing costumes and skits for your performances?
For World Cosplay Summit, we do not approve of you using costumes that you have already competed and won with. If it is something that you have already competed with, you will have to contact national staff and see if it is appropriate or not, because that one is a little bit of a touchy subject. Most people will just come up with a completely new idea because you are dealing with 2 people and not more than that. And when you have 2 people, it's actually a lot harder to come up with a performance aspect between the characters. Because ultimately what you're going to come down to is light versus dark. I'm going to say lovers or family members, mother, daughter, daughter, son, or that type of combination between characters, because you're only in a 2 set. So if you look at everything that's happened, those are usually what the skits fall into. But for choosing costumes, usually you want to pick something new. For performance, has to be something new.
So speaking of performance, you mentioned that it's just pairs. So for the people that don't know and have never competed in WCS, are you allowed to use stage ninjas or anything like that?
Unfortunately, you're not able to use stage ninjas. You will have stage ninjas to put your props onto the stage, but that is the extent of it. You will not have somebody that's able to stand in their gear and just suddenly have a some type of spirit bomb or something just go across the stage and attack the other person. You will have to be creative with how you use your body, how you use your prop, and just you'll have to be very creative with it, but you are not able to use stage ninjas for it. It is ultimately just 2 people on the stage. And yeah, it's completely different. Also with props, you are allowed to have 3 different props on there, but there is a weight restriction on it. It is, I think it's 10 or 20 kilograms. Do not quote me on that one. I forget. It's about I think it's 10 kilograms because it's about 25 pounds for all 3 props combined. Usually you'll see people with 1 prop that they put all their weight into. If you have 3 props, they're usually just backdrops only, and they're very lightweight. They're usually paper or something, and somebody suddenly bursts through them, and you have a dramatic entrance. But there is weight restrictions on that. You are allowed to have hand props with it. And that's about it for stage. You are given 40 seconds to get on the stage, and that is because in Japan you have those 40 seconds because that's how long it takes for your intro video to play, and then they start. There is no pause. You start. It is a continuous cycle. In the US, we have a little bit more leniency because we are not at that. We're not run by a TV station, so we don't have that professional level. But we do try and focus on the 40 seconds between performances.
And actually, I would like to interject with something right here. It's very important that people who are going to be entering, especially for the first time, are aware of how the format is. In most conventional masquerades, you'll have the MC usually read an introduction, not so much about yourself or your group, but usually you can put, kind of a prologue or a preface to your performance. You don't get that in WCS, and I say this because there have been instances in qualifiers, even with very close friends of mine who I've worked with for years, where they were relying on this introduction before the skit to kind of get people to understand their skit, and that cost them dearly when it came to performance scores. So that 40 seconds, if you're going to do this for the first time, remember that 40 seconds in that intro video is just for you and for you to get ready. There is nothing more to that, so you have nothing but your performance to explain the performance. That makes sense.
So,
Yes.
something I've heard that has unfortunately been on the rise in the cosplay community is plagiarism for skits. I just wanted to pause to announce that we will be looking out for plagiarized skits, and we will not be sending plagiarized skits onward, of course.
Yep. This is actually something that I can speak on behalf of. There are ways, because there is no copyright for how something is made or done in a performance, there is actually no copyright for that, but we do not recommend ever taking a skit and pretty much translating it to different characters and trying to do the same thing. You can take an idea from one performance and alter it for your own, because I'll be honest, the idea of puppets has been used throughout a lot of World Cosplay Summit performances. Very well-known performances have done it. I will say 2009 France, where they did Sue and Ortaha, their performance was a puppet skit. When we went last year, we had England, who did, what are their names? Kefka and Tara, and they were a puppet skit. But they're completely different, but it's still the same idea. So you can take ideas and alter them, but if we can blatantly tell that it is from somebody else's performance, it'll be either an automatic disqualification, or it'll be taken to national staff and it will be deliberated, and it may affect your score greatly. I will say that last year we actually were informed that 2 of the performances from Russia were, no wait, yes, it was Russia, were disqualified or greatly impacted because they had used performances from other countries. Exact same characters and pretty much the exact same performance skits to compete in this event, and it was, they were competing for World Cosplay Summit, and they had taken performance from a different country's World Cosplay Summit preliminary. So it is watched. It is watched. It is heavily weighted. And like I said, you can take aspects from a skit and try using it, but I don't recommend it. Try coming up with something new.
Okay. So when the winners are announced, and you get the first place and the second place, and it's still early in the WCS season, and the people who didn't win, can they re-enter at another qualifier, or are they just out of luck for the season?
If you do not win at one of the qualifiers, you are able to enter at a different qualifier if you wish to, but you do have to come up with a new costume and performance. You are not able to enter with the same performance or costume you entered with at the first qualifier. So it's a lot of work. I just recommend not doing it for that year. Just wait till the next year, because usually with these qualifiers, the reason we have so many is we're trying to make them local to a lot of people to try and bring out a lot more, bring out more people, really. Oh, that's what it is.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
when you actually become Team USA, what is expected of you in terms of upkeep of social media and general representation of WCS?
Okay, so this is a fun one. Even from the preliminary level, once you have been awarded from a preliminary standpoint from the qualifiers, you are expected to hold yourself in a respectable manner online. You will be watched and weighed and deliberated. And once you reach finals, how you held yourself online will be put into your interview process. Once you have been chosen as Team USA, you will be then part of the World Cosplay Summit Team USA page, and you will be expected to pretty much post solely on that page with your costume progress, what you're doing, and stuff like that. The reason being is we want you to have fun, appreciate, and be Team USA. You are, at that point, you are representing the country. We want you to be proud of it and to have fun and to let people know what you're doing and what you're creating, because everybody that is watching you will also be helping you with the awards at the finals, because in Japan they have the Nico Nico, which is kind of like the YouTube. They have a judging system. So you do also have a prize for the Nico Nico prize, which is based on how many people say yes, they were entertained, no, they were not entertained. It's kind of like a people's choice. So we want you to have a following, pretty much. We want you to have people to cheer you on. Yay!
So what advice would you give to someone who's on the fence or considering entering WCS but hasn't quite pulled the trigger yet?
If you have given the thought about it, just do it. Honestly, like I said, I have competed 4 times to do it before we were chosen. We learned every single time, and the first time we just entered because we wanted to enter, and we did not expect to win or anything like that. We did it to have fun, and it was a learning experience. We met some amazing people. That I think was one of more of the major points of where we met Mario. I met him before. True. We had met you before, but we didn't really talk until that point.
Yep.
And it really is. It's just worth it. You'll meet a lot of people. You'll have a great experience, and it does bring out a competitive side, which can be a lot of fun. You don't want too much because then it becomes like Dance Moms, and that's crazy. But you do it. It does push you. It pushes you in your cosplay, pushes you in your idea of performance. Yes, phone. Yay!
So finally, when you actually go to Japan, what is covered? What expenses are covered?
Oh, Japan.
Costumes starting now.
Our costumes expenses for costumes are not covered. We get to pick our costumes and have staff deliberate over them and make sure that they are appropriate and will be physically appropriate for the events they're chosen, because you will be outside for a lot of the events, so we do not recommend doing a fur coat or anything super heavy. All the costumes that we took in our year, we made sure that we had flowing materials and were able to breathe in them, because we knew that it was going to be very hot, humid, outside, so a lot of water. But that's how we chose our costumes. For once we're there, the things that are paid for and covered by the event are airfare. This is actually covered between the event as well as the finals convention. So your airfare will be covered, your hotel will be covered. Some of the events will have food prepared for you and covered, but about half of them will not. So about half the week you will have to pay for yourself for food. Anything you buy personally, you will have to pay out of your own pocket. So all of those figurines and everything you'd find in Madarake, you have to buy yourself. But ultimately, it is a bit of an expense, but it's worth it. It's worth the experience. It's an amazing trip. It's kind of like a vacation, but you're still doing work. But yeah, so hope that answers that one.
Cool. I guess we can open this up for Q&A.
Yeah.
If we have any.
Yeah. Do we have anybody?
Our one lone viewer.
We have one viewer.
We have a viewer.
Any questions, lone viewer? I'm not sure where we can even look this up.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. So
Is that in the Q&A maybe or something?
maybe. Do you have any questions about computing?
Me? Most of them have been answered.
Comprehensive. Tell you what, if anyone does have any questions, is there someone they can email or someone they can contact to get more information about World Cosplay Summit?
Yes, if you have any questions or concerns, the best place to go, you can either go to the Facebook page, which is World Cosplay Summit United States Preliminaries, or you can go to the website, which is a little easier to find. It's WCSUS.com.
Okay.
And for that one, you do have a section on there that does say contact. So that way you have different departments you can contact. So it's information and questions, which is general questions. If you have something related to marketing that you need to discuss, if you are like usually a qualifier convention or a final convention and you have questions about marketing, resume submissions, where you're going to be submitting resumes, and then contacts and conventions, which is for actual contacts and conventions.
Okay.
So usually information and questions and resume submission is where you're going to go.
That actually brings up another question that I don't think we really covered. How do you get involved with WCS? Like, how do you say, you know, there's a qualifier coming to a convention near me, I want to compete. How do I start the process? How does that happen?
Okay, so what's going to happen is we do have all the information. Best place, like I said, is going to the website, WCSUS.com. There is a tab for how to participate. It holds all of our rules and regulations. It also has information on all of the qualifiers that we have released and have up to date that have signed. Within that section, you will see when resume submissions are being accepted and when the convention will be held and where it's going to be held. From there, it links you back to the resume submission, which contains all the information about what you need to have in your resume. This is kind of like a job resume. You're just going to be filling out all the information that we require. You can have it look super elaborate and spend a lot of time on it, which will give you a judge's award pretty much for having the best resume, making it look nice, but it's not something that we really want you to spend a lot of time on. We want you to focus more on your craftsmanship and your performance. The resume is ultimately a resume that's going to describe who you are, what you're doing, and what you have done previously, so we can see what you have created. And that's pretty much it. We have, how many qualifiers do we have? For the 2015 cycle so far, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 conventions so far. 1, 2, 3 have finished, and the next one is Fandom Con, which, as you said, is going to be held November 7th through 9th in Fort Walton Beach, and that submissions have been extended till Sunday.
Okay, great.
Yay.
I don't think we have any more questions, but if anyone else wants to, they can contact you. They know where.
Yep.
Thank you all very much. It's been very informative.
Yay!
We're going to stop the broadcast, and Cassie, I want to talk to you after. So, yeah.